But again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. So, today we're going to be talking a little bit about like your major doesn't define your career. And we have a lot of amazing folks here who are going to share a little bit about their experience, where they're at right now. But of course, like I'm going to kick it off with a couple of questions. And if you all have any questions, feel free to, just drop them in. But I just wanted to highlight really quick that today's panel is sponsored by Sony Pictures Entertainment. So a really big shout out to Sony for their partnership and their contribution to helping us create this space. So I'm actually going to go ahead and let the panelists introduce themselves. So let's go ahead and start off with Christina.
Thank you so much, Mauro. Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Livideri. I really just wanted to start by giving a brief background on who I am. I am the CEO of a company that I founded with my best friend from college, and it's called Mana Financial Life Design. But back, what am I now, 38 years old? I was actually born in the Philippines, and pretty quickly, about like 5 years in, we moved to the United States. And upon moving to the United States, my mom and dad very quickly divorced. My dad took all of our money, and our first couple of years here in the United States, we lived, homeless and living on the help of very generous nonprofits and organizations. And I kind of lived a life of instability for my first few years here in the United States until my mom remarried, found an amazing partner, and spent my high school years really focusing on getting into a good college, getting good grades, and I fell in love with the sport of water polo. So I was very lucky to get a water polo scholarship to play at Bucknell University on the East Coast, as far away from my parents as I could get at that moment. And unfortunately, within 2 years of my water polo career at Bucknell, I tore my rotator cuff, lost the scholarship. So at the very end, as I was applying, what I really wanted to do was go to law school, and I wanted to become, the chief litigator at the UN criminal court at The Hague. Couldn't do that because I realized that it cost a lot of money to go to law school, and I graduated Bucknell with $100,000 of student loan debt. Quick math as a financial planner: for every $10,000 in student loan debt, think about that as $100 of payments, into perpetuity for your student loans until you pay it off, whether 20, 30 years, et cetera. So I graduated with $1,000 student loan payment every single month. And that drove me into a career in finance. Despite that, into a career of finance, I knew nothing about money, and no one taught me about how to use credit cards. So I drove myself in New York City into more credit card debt because no one taught me anything about money. And that's when I realized, about 10 years into my career, I was making a good amount of money and I was spending a good amount plus more, that I got inspired to create a career for myself in financial planning because, well, I needed to teach myself. And I realized so many of my friends needed that too. And so this panel is called, it's called Your Major Doesn't Equal Your Career. And I am a huge proponent of that because I was a political science and Spanish major. And now I spend my days as a certified financial planner and a life planner that's really dedicated to helping people align their money with their values and intentions in life.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Christina. Definitely interested in learning a little bit more about kind of what were some of the, key points or maybe key turning points that, really led you to where you are today. So thank you for sharing. Roberto, how about let's go ahead and have you share.
Yeah, great. First of all, thank you much for having me here. I love talking to as many people of the future who are going to run the companies and the world of tomorrow. Christina, what an inspiring story. I wish I wasn't going after you. So who am I? Why am I in front of you guys? My name is Roberto Martinez. I am also an entrepreneur. I have two companies. I have a digital marketing agency, and earlier last year, I launched a CRM company, a software company. I started my career in government. I really wanted to give back to my community. I felt that government's the way. Giving back, serving people is how I want to serve and dedicate my life to. And I traveled around the world. Wasn't born in a foreign country, but I have been to 54 countries. So I love traveling. I love working abroad. I lived and worked in Spain, Argentina, Buenos Aires, Peru. It was a fantastic experience working for the government. And I met a really influential minister of finance in Argentina. He told me, first of all, you're Mexican American. I get it. You were born in America, but what are you doing working for the gringos? You're like, what's going on here? And so he said, how about you do this? Go back to school, get your MBA. The motto is make the money, and then if you want to give it away, but help people by providing them a livelihood. The prime minister of this particular country rises and falls based on the economic status of this country. And so if you understand that, you're going to understand how to create systemic change for the people that you care about. And I took that to heart. I took me a couple more years. I started working for the Canadians, don't ask me why. And then I went back to business school and I got my degrees in business. At the time, I still thought I was going to go into government, but then I went to New York, worked for a pretty big company out there, pushing product in pharma, and didn't really like that. I didn't really like pharmaceuticals, although it helped me pay off my student loans. And Christina, you bring up a great point. I graduated with quite a lot of debt. I did have some scholarships, but I took that job because I needed to pay off the debt, right? Pay off the loans as fast as you possibly can, but realized it wasn't fulfilling me and it wasn't making me a happy person. I had a come into Jesus moment when my best friend passed away, and I said, life is too short. I have to really dedicate myself to what matters most to me and how I could create change for my community. So I came back to LA and I started working for these big tech companies. And I was like, okay, I'm at home, I'm close to my family and friends, and my culture. I'm very passionate about being Latino. I traveled around Latin America, helping raise capital and funding and nonprofit work, but it still wasn't fulfilling. And then my mom said, why don't you do what you love for your community? She was an entrepreneur as well. She started up her home cleaning company. Amazing woman. She first of 12, came over to the United States at 16, started off a cleaning company. But digital divide is real, as you guys know. And when you talk to your parents, it's sometimes you're acting as the lawyer, the financial advisor, the therapist. And she's like, you're good at marketing. Why don't you do something in that space? So I decided to launch my own marketing agency, solely focus on diverse small businesses. And that was going to be my claim to fame. That was going to be where I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to. And so I'm in Stanford presenting about how I'm going to change the new business model for small, diverse business leaders by digitizing them and helping use digital marketing tools. And Google's in the audience. And they were like, we love your mission. We absolutely love it. Come work for us. And I said, they told me about people like you. I am not going to work for you guys, but I'll work with you guys. So they're like, okay, well, we'll draft up a contract. You'll be our representative. We're launching a new initiative where you're going to go around the country and represent our brand to your business community, to your Latino and African-American minority business community. And so I started doing that for Google. And then the city of LA called and said, hey, COVID is happening. How would you like to be our entrepreneur in residence and help digitize 1,000 small businesses and help them sell during the pandemic? Why do I bring up this story? Because as you're going through your journey, you have to realize what you're about. And that's what I do. I have my own marketing agency that focuses on small business. I am a Google digital coach that trains anywhere from 300 to 500 people a given year on how to use digital marketing tools. I work for the mayor's office doing the same thing, helping them grow their presence within the low-income communities to show them how to use digital marketing tools and grow and make revenue for themselves. And I launched a software company that does the same thing. We like, okay, anyone that has a mission in life that wants to help and wants to launch their own idea, we're going to give you a tech stack that allows you to do that. So that's who I am, and happy to work with you guys and learn how I can help you guys in your journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, Roberto. That's honestly sounds like the work that you're doing is really great and helping a lot of folks. You definitely touched on a couple of points that I definitely want to circle back to later. So thank you. Kristen, let's go ahead and pass the baton over to you.
You guys are kind of hard acts to follow here. And I noticed we have Kristen, Christina, and Christian on this panel. Hi, everybody. Kristen Benson. So happy to be here with you this evening. I am a graduate of the University of San Francisco. Do we have any Dons that are on this call? Probably not, but thought I would ask. So let's see. I I grew up in Southern California, in a small town north of Los Angeles, and I was a soccer player. And my is very well, but helped pay for my education. So like Christina, I was also a student athlete, soccer player at the University of San Francisco. I played there for 4 years. And that experience, I think, really helped shape the person that I am today. The discipline and time management skills that I learned from being a student athlete is something that I have carried with me in my professional career, most definitely. And also, I do want to say that before I get into, kind of my progression from graduating college, I am a very good example that your career path is not always linear. Like Christina, I graduated from USF and I kind of had this moment of, what am I going to do now? All I'd ever known was going to school. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll go to law school. So, I applied, I took the LSAT and I started applying for law school, and I was accepted to some, very good law schools. And I was so excited, and I went to my parents and I said, guess what? I was accepted to, this law school. And they said, oh, that's so great. We're so proud of you. How are you going to pay for that? And I thought, well, what do you mean? How am I going to pay for it? Aren't you going to help me pay for it? No. So I decided that, maybe I should get some experience in that area. I was really, hell-bent on being an entertainment attorney. I don't know why, but at the time, that's what I thought I wanted to do. And by the way, I was a communications major at the University of San Francisco with a minor in so I went to work. I got a job at Warner Brothers in Burbank, California, and I started working in the business and legal affairs group within Warner Brothers. And I thought that was a really good opportunity for me to kind of get a sense of whether or not I really wanted to venture down this path of going to law school and getting myself into a tremendous amount of debt in the process. And in doing that, I realized that was not something that my whole heart was not into it. And so I decided that was not the right path for me. Fast forward, I ended up staying within the entertainment industry for about 9 years, working at HBO, home box office, and Sony. We have another Sony person on the line. And, I worked at those companies and working in casting and business development and facilities management, all sorts of different areas. And 10 years ago, I was laid off at Sony, and I was kind of at this crossroads of, I did not know what I was going to do. I had gone through a lot of change in my life personally, and I was just kind of like at that point where I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I needed to do something different. So I took what I say as a sabbatical for a year, and I traveled all over. I traveled with my best friend, which was amazing, and it kind of gave me some perspective. And then about a year later, I ended up getting a role at Amgen. So Amgen is one of the world's largest biotechnology companies, and it's headquartered in Thousand Oaks, California, where I happened to grow up. And I got a role in sourcing. I didn't even know what sourcing was. But I took this role as a project. This is a great opportunity to get in at Amgen, and it'll be fine. So fast forward a couple of years later, and I was approached by Amgen's Supplier Diversity Program. And some of you might be wondering, what is supplier diversity? Because I asked the same question. I had no idea what that was. And come to find out, it was like kismet, you know, it's like the job found me, because this happens to be something that I'm very passionate about. I love my job, and my role at Amgen allows me to advocate for small and diverse businesses. So it's, you know, supporting, there's a internal and external component to my role, which is really exciting. There's a lot of visibility within the organization and outside. And it's very fulfilling knowing that I have a small part in the development and success of small businesses.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing, Kristen. I know when you first started kind of introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself, you kind of hit the $1 million question, which was like, what am I going to do after college, right? Like, this is all I know is to be a student. And I'm sure a lot of our students have either been asked that question or are now getting that question from friends, families, mentors. And so definitely want to hear a little bit about, you know, that going into the panel. So thank you so much. And so now we'll go ahead and last but not least, pass it off to Christian. So go ahead and take it away, Christian.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Christian. I am from Sony. I am a manager at Sony. My job is basically to make things simple. I would say my job is to put whatever content that you see on your TV on the air. It's kind of what I do. I don't physically do it myself, but it's what my department does. We do have teams in Singapore that actually does it. So anytime you watch a Sony channel or game show network, that's sort of kind of what we do. As far as my journey and who I am, I grew up in San Francisco. I'm from there. And I went to, actually in high school, I actually wanted to do several things. I was this really ambitious kid, you know, and I always wanted to do something in film. I always wanted to be a filmmaker, but none of my friends were in entertainment. I have interest in entertainment. They're all like engineers and things like that. So in high school, I had good grades. I was like a 4.0 student, and I got a scholarship offer to go to UC Berkeley. I turned it down. Like I said, I was pretty ambitious. There's several things I want to do in life. I turned it down to opted to go to the military. And the military service I actually wanted to join was the United States Marine Corps. So I did that. For about 4 years, I did pretty well. I excel. I made it to the rank of sergeant, which is the highest you can achieve in 4 years. But I always felt like there's something more to life. And I always feel like I wanted to go into entertainment, be a filmmaker or something, or be an entertainment executive, but I just didn't know how. Like I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't have that connections. I wasn't in the group of, I didn't have like a big group of friends who were just interested in films or have the same interests as I am. They're just very different folks. So I left the service and didn't know what to do, honestly. So the first thing I did, I went to college. I went to a community college in Cupertino called the Anza College. I'm not sure if you guys heard of it. And I transferred to one of the 3 schools I wanted to attend. So there's 3 schools when I was about 16 years old I actually wanted to attend. One of them was USC, the other one was Stanford, and San Jose State. So I got into San Jose State. And I first started in majoring in film. Then I realized, you know, just being Asian, for those who are Asian here, I'm sure you guys know there's a lot of pressure for us to do well and to find a job, you know, that really is meaningful, like business, or be a doctor, a lawyer, and so on and so forth. So I changed my field from film to business. I actually studied marketing. And at the same time, I got a job making pretty good money, a lot more money than what my friends were making who finished college already. I work in an aerospace industry, which is something that I really didn't want to do or have any plan. I mean, I did have some sort of aeronautics background because I went to a vocational school and I studied aeronautics. But that wasn't the reason why I got the job. So I was there for a few years. I didn't really like it, even though the money was pretty good. And I was going to school, and it was really, really hard just balancing school and time management and things like that. So my grades were failing, and I got kicked out of San Jose State. And, after a couple of years, I just kind of like decided, you know what, I really still have this entertainment idea. I don't know how to get there. So I decided to quit my job, with no plans or anything like that, and went back to school. I went to back to San Jose State. Of course, I was in probation for like about a year. And I decided to pursue film, actually, things that I actually wanted to do. And then from there on, I worked a bunch of odd jobs just to make ends meet and things like that. And I think my second year at San Jose State, I got a job for a financial firm. So I was in finance. And the funny thing is, I got a job in finance because I had all these weird backgrounds, and they felt that I was well-rounded, that there was a person there. I actually came in second, by the way, in the interview. There was actually a person there that had all the backgrounds that they wanted, but the person didn't really work out after a week, and they just called me up and say like, hey, are you still available? And they kind of hired me. But anyway, so I finished college. I finally got my degree later in life. In 2015, I graduated with a bachelor's in film, television, radio. And I decided to try and apply, like here in entertainment. And it was kind of hard a little bit, I didn't know anybody here in Los Angeles. And then all of a sudden, I applied for this job that I think the chances of me getting it was slim to none. I mean, I applied for the finance area of Sony because I was in finance already, didn't get it, but I got the technical operations analyst job. And when they did the interview process, I was actually at the very bottom of the list, to be honest with you. But the recruiter at Sony was just like, hey, you should check out this guy. So I think my bosses at that time, they were kind of like, all right, we're just gonna, see who he is, because they were actually looking for candidates in Los Angeles only. They weren't interested for any candidates outside of Los Angeles. And they sort of kind of, decided to give me to kind of check off the box, kind of say like, yeah, we interview him. So when they did the interview with me, they really like as far as what my background was, that I wasn't just strictly film, I wasn't strictly television, that had all these background in finance, and I was well-rounded again, and I was able to switch careers and maintain a certain amount of seniority in those careers and getting promoted to manager level. And they really like that. So they really like that flexibility, that idea that, like this guy has a lot of tools that we, and experience that may be helpful than getting somebody who's like an expert in this particular field. So they hired me. And after they hired me, and I don't know if you remember, like a couple minutes ago, I said there's 3 colleges that actually wanted to attend. I applied for USC, and I got accepted to a USC master's program. And I got a degree I went to UC Annenberg, so I got a degree in communications. And of course, I'm now a manager at Sony. I love what I do. And it goes to show you that as far as career-wise, like you can be like some of the folks that you hear earlier today that, they have their own path, or you can be sort of kind of like me as well too, where you go to all these different areas and career fields and not knowing where to go and somehow end up where you want it to be, so yeah, so I think there's a different path for everybody. So I think this is a good opportunity for those of you who are interested in entertainment or interested in maybe something else, but you really don't know how to get there and things like that. I encourage you, don't be discouraged, just continue what it is that you're doing, continue this with your passion. you'll get there someday. It is hard. And I didn't do it with connections or networking. I did it the old fashioned way of just applying, interviewing, and presenting myself of who I am. This is what you're going to get. And, I think I won't let you down. So yeah, that's kind of my story. So.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing, Christian. Definitely very similar to how Kristen mentioned, how sometimes our paths and our careers aren't always linear, right? And we're always kind of taking these twists and turns to ultimately get to where we want to be. So again, thank you all so much for sharing a little bit about your backgrounds, your trajectories. And so now that we've gotten to know our panelists, I want to take the next couple of minutes to just ask a couple of questions, and still encouraging students to put any questions that you might have on the chat, whether it's for all panelists or maybe one specific one that resonated with you. But I wanted to kick off our first question, which is about networking, right? I know networking is definitely very important when it comes to trying to get to the career field, or maybe even in a specific industry or position that you want to get into. And I know this last year and a half has been very, very different and challenging with regards to COVID and how networking and a lot of things have changed. So maybe Roberto, we can start off with you, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about like how networking has impacted your trajectory.
It takes a village to raise a child, and I really believe in that when it comes to your career. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for the people that were in front of me, creating a pathway and providing me the opportunities and affording me the type of access that I would have never gotten before. So I'm telling you guys right now that networking, from my standpoint, is probably the most important piece. I wouldn't have gone to Stanford's program if I didn't network with the right person that recommended me to the program that I was part of. Once I was in the program, if I didn't network and meet the Google representative, I would have never gone to Google. It is probably, and I still network. I mean, it's one of those things that you just have to get comfortable and have a blue collar approach to networking. It's not magic. You should take it like work. I do informational interviews to this day. Anytime I have a chance to introduce other people, I just finished, one of my friends works for JP Chase. One of my friends works for USC. The person from USC wants to learn more about JP Chase. I connected them. I mean, every opportunity you can. Informational interviews, for those of you guys who just went through the resume, is really important. Figure out what companies you want, make a short list of those companies. Look at LinkedIn, look at the people that you're a part of within LinkedIn, look at your friends who might be a little more senior than you, and ask them, can you set up informational interviews for those companies so I can learn about their culture, their fit? Do your homework, figure out what the program is. It's definitely something that you should not take lightly, especially if you know what company you want to land in. When I was in college and I went to UCLA, I remember thinking I want to work for Google one day. And you can just sit on your hands and try, or you can find people that got into Google, find the process, read the books. That really helps a lot. So I would tell you guys, if you walk away from anything, due diligence when it comes to networking, every opportunity you can. Figure out where the industry is going, what conferences. Conference is another big one. I have a lot of friends that would literally look at the conference list, look at the speakers that were there, and then create a whole game plan around, when I land in that conference, here's the people I want to meet, and I will know my talking points, and I will accidentally bump into them. It's that methodical. So if you guys are serious about your career, it's one of those things that I would tell you guys has made the world of a difference for me.
Mauro, can I add, because what Roberto said was so good, and so I don't want to repeat. So what I want to do is add to that. If there's one trick to networking, it's the change of mindset from it being a job and a task you need to do to really instilling yourself a culture of curiosity. So the curiosity, that curious spirit, is what will make you seem natural when you go out and network. Be interested. If you are interested in the person and in their job or their firm, I completely agree. Do as much research as you can. right? I mean, I was going in to networking nights at Bucknell, which they facilitated some of those networking nights. I was the only non-business major, but what I did have was Google, the search engine, and the ability to understand what I was looking for. So what is a job in finance sales versus a financial analyst versus an investment analyst? What are all those things? So I Googled and I researched so much. And then when I was able to connect with individuals via LinkedIn, if to get into another career, another job, I would do a ton of research on their name. What projects have they been involved in the past? And so again, everyone's favorite subject is themselves. So you really want to lift people up and let them know that you're a huge fan of them. And that alone will get them to say, hey, this person's a real gem. I might as well introduce them to the person they asked me to introduce them to, or take them to the next level. And you never know what that next level will be.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Kristen, would you like to share as well?
Yeah, I was going to add just really quickly to what Christina was saying, and that is always find a way to make yourself memorable. Because when you're meeting a lot of people in networking situations, what is it about you? About you that is going to make someone remember you. So actually, that I go to small businesses on all the time, but it pertains to networking peer-to-peer as well. So that's something you should think about.
Thank you for that. Christian, would you like to add something as well?
Sure. I would say network with everybody, build relationships. Don't focus on the bigwigs or the VPs only, because that's the people who are in power. Network with, the intern that's next to you, the manager, because in 10 years, you really don't know where you're gonna be because that intern that you just overlooked might be your boss. So don't undercut anybody.
Okay, thank you. Really great points. I think all of you kind of hit the nail on the head, and yeah, I'm really glad that we were able to come out of that networking session and come into here and talk a little bit more about that. And so just kind of to switch lanes a little bit, I know that you all are in very different career paths, very different jobs, of course. But can you all maybe share 2 or 3 skills or important skills that you feel are transferable regardless of what industry that you're working in? And Christina, maybe we can start with you.
So skills that that help me. I mean, honestly, I think the curiosity thing is it's part of my DNA. I love people, and that's why I became a sales professional right out of school. I am truly, if you do the Clifton Strengths Finder, one of my biggest things, I'm so interested in what drives human beings. And so that is a skill that I think is transmutable across, no matter what you're doing. The student athlete, the determination, the drive to continue to push, to continue to push and innovate is also another thing. And then I'd also say I'm also trying to think about, in terms of my employees, now what I look for is for people who have humility, but a desire to continue learning. So this quest and thirst for learning is what I look for, because we actually work and try to hire individuals that do not have a finance background, but have an interest in helping the world in financial planning. And so we really work with, we really try to hire individuals that have that high factor of curiosity and the desire to learn.
Great, thank you. Christian, how about, or Roberto, I saw that you muted yourself. Did you want to add something?
Let Christian go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kristen, me, or?
Yes.
Oh, Kristen,
Yes,
oh,
yes, 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 yes.
okay. I would like to add, you need to be resilient. Resiliency is really important because you're going to go through so much change between now and the rest of your career. And you really have to learn to kind of roll with things because there's only so much that you can control. Some things you can't. So especially if you're working, I know we've got some amazing entrepreneurs on the line here, which they can probably attest to this as well. But when you're working in a large corporation, like Christian and I, work in these big companies, the only thing that is constant is change, period. So you have to really build a thick skin and you have to be resilient. Also, when I say thick skin, you also have to be open to feedback. Feedback is so important. Positive, constructive, take it all in and ask your peers for feedback, but that is really, really important. And then the other thing I would say is work ethic. You really have to put in the effort, and you really have to demonstrate that you are, willing to work hard. Those are my three.
Yeah, I love to piggyback on both of them. I'll give you one because I think it's the most important thing and it's a big differentiator for at least for me. I always think value, 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 and I always bring it down to my friends, my family. And what I mean by value is regardless of who I'm touching, regardless of who I'm networking with or talking, I'm trying to make their life better. So whatever I do, I want to make sure that when they touch me, their life has gotten better in some measurable way. So when I'm networking, all I'm thinking about is how could I help this person, this individual, do better in their job, in their family, whatever that is, whatever that value. I think someone just slacked or dropped the buck. That's value, like whatever it is that you can do. And right now, what you might have more than anyone else is time. And one of the biggest paradigm shifts for me is that everything builds on everything else. There's no such thing as wasting time. So if this person is thinking about entering a marketplace or that particular company is entering a new space, do a market research report for them. Hey, here, like I just did. They're gonna look at you like you're crazy. Oh my God, you did all this research and you had no money involved. Like, yes, that's how much passion I have for this line of work. I'm giving away the work. And if you think in that way, this abundance mentality of always giving, people are going to look for you. People are going to look out for you. People are going to call you because they want to connect to you because you're always providing value. Think about your own life experience when you have certain friends that just go above and beyond everything. Like there's friends that show up and maybe bring a soda, and then there's friends that show up to your birthday party and bring the balloons, everything else. Who do you want to hang out with? Who do you want to spend your time with? That person that's always giving and giving. If you can change that paradigm and think abundance and value, people are going to look for you, and then you're going to have a series of jobs and you're going to not even know what to do because they want to associate with you. So I think that's one big differentiator when it comes to networking or just your bosses, your family, your friends. Always try to give more than what you receive. Always try to add more value than they're giving to you, and it has a multiple effect. I think we had an intern recently, and she shot out an email to me and she said, "Hey, I can't make your conference. I can't make your talk, but here's my resume. Here's my cover letter. Here's an industry that I'm really passionate about, and this is how your agency can grow 3% or 4%. I walked away like she got the job. Like whatever she wants, she has it. Because that's who she is as a fundamental human, regardless of what she does. She doesn't turn off when she's at home or not. That's who she is as a person. So figuring out how you can always continuously add value in some capacity.
All right, thank you. Christian, how about yourself?
I agree with everybody here on the panel. I think they all have great takes. So for me, just something to add to that is I would say, hey, just find your passion and be persistent at it. Eventually, I think you'll get there. I mean, you may not like the job that you're doing right now, but I think if you continue what it is that you're doing, whatever it is, it could be in finance, it could be in film, it could be business or marketing. If you like to do art on the side, continue it is what you're doing. and you know, whether you do it as a hobby, and maybe someday that might be your career to a certain degree. So just be persistent at it, and eventually you'll get there. And then lastly, I just want to say, you know, pay it forward. If there is an opportunity to volunteer, if you work for a large company, these large companies have a lot of volunteering opportunities, like joining a club or being a board member of a club, where you get exposure to executives and you get exposure to other people for you to network. Do it. You know, I mean, yes, I know you're not getting paid extra for it. I would say do it, because sometimes you might meet somebody, or that might be a networking opportunity for you. It might be an opportunity for you to advance to your next career or your next goal. You know, like I said, like, you really don't know as far as where you're going to be in 5 years or 10 years. I mean, the best thing you can do is take advantage of any opportunities that you get. So yes, so volunteer if you can.
Great, thank you so much. So I know we have about a minute left right now. Time definitely, you know, just went by, and a lot of really great things were said. So I really just kind of wanted to open it up, maybe in, you know, just 10, 15 seconds. What are some things that a college student can do right now to start getting them into that mindset of where they'd like their career to go? And Christian, we can start with you.
Good question. I would say create your goals. I think that's very, very important. I think figure out what's, look at the job market right now, figure out what is tangible, what's not tangible, but at the same time, don't be so stubborn as far as like, hey, I just want to be like a filmmaker, or I just want to be in accounting, and that's, if there's no other opportunities, I won't take it. Just be open to yourself. So yes, I would say just create a goal and figure out like a pathway for you to get there. And if there's an opportunity out there that can maybe it's not the goal that you wanted, but it's close, I would take every opportunity that you'll get and gain some experience from it, because eventually that will take you to the next level or the next step in your career.
Great, thank you. Roberto, how about yourself?
So I like to piggyback on what Christian said a little bit earlier, saying know yourself. The only way you can truly know yourself is by doing. Like I highly recommend everyone in this group just act. It could be a project, it could be an internship. Figure out how you can experiment and try different things and see what you're really passionate about. You're just getting started. This is the best part of it. You have nothing but upside. You have nothing but limitless potential. And so you get to try different things out and say, hey, do I like creative? Or more of the button down, I need numbers. What am I really excited and gets me up in the morning with fire in my belly? The only way you find that out is by doing it. So get out there and do it, guys.
Thank you, definitely. Kristen, how about yourself?
I completely agree with what Roberto and Christian said. You need to get experience. And those experiences are going to kind of mold and shape you in some ways, and learn from those experiences, and your perspective, maybe not perspective is the best word, but I guess perspective, maybe what you thought you wanted to do might change based on these experiences. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. And Christina, last but not least.
All right, so closing it up, I want to leave you guys with, so that Amazon book that I posted was Never Eat Alone. That was a book that shaped the way that I thought about networking. So I thought that would be interesting. And then I'm just posting right now, George Kinder's 3 questions. George Kinder's my mentor. But to get in the right mindset, I actually deliver these questions to my clients that make millions of dollars, but I also deliver these questions to college students. I teach courses at Pepperdine through the Servant Leadership Program. And I ask everyone these 3 questions. And these are the 3 questions that I would encourage everyone on this to answer to find their passion, because what is your passion is such an obtuse question, especially at 19, 21, 22 years old. So I'd really encourage you, take a look at these questions and see if anything comes up. And I would really spend time answering these questions, especially that third one, to really understand what you'd be missing in your life if you passed away today.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for that, Christina. And thank you so much to all of our panelists. So students, if y'all can join me in just thanking all of our panelists for their time today and for all of their words of wisdom. I think a lot of it really resonated with me, and hopefully it also resonated with our students. We hope that you enjoy the next couple of sessions. And again, to our panelists, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.